The desert stretched forever. Golden dunes rolled under the burning sun, endless waves of sand with no sign of life. The wind howled softly, carrying grains that shimmered like fire under the light. To most, it was just another forgotten world, a wasteland not worth exploring. But on this day, the silence of the desert would be broken. A team of explorers moved slowly across the dunes, their ships parked far behind them. They were not humans, but members of the Galactic Survey Corps, made of many alien species. Their scanners had detected something strange below the surface, something larger than any natural rock formation. Curiosity had brought them here, though none expected what they were about to find. The lead officer, a tall alien with silver skin, raised a clawed hand. "Here," he said, his voice echoing through the comms. "The signal is strongest here." The team spread out, their boots sinking into the sand as they began clearing the area with digging machines. The ground trembled faintly as metal touched metal. Minutes passed before the first shape appeared. Golden edges rose from beneath the sand, sharp and unnatural. The explorers paused, stunned. This was not stone, this was not ruin, it was technology, and it was older than anything in the galactic records. With every sweep of sand pushed away, more of the object revealed itself. Runes covered its surface, lines and symbols etched deep into golden plating. Some glowed faintly, as if alive, pulsing with a hidden energy. Their aliens exchanged nervous glances. "What is this?" one whispered. The answer came slowly as the dunes collapsed around it. The golden structure was not a ruin, not a temple, not a buried palace. It was a ship, a colossal ship, half buried in the desert for what must have been thousands of years. Its hull curved like a sleeping beast, its front yawning open in a dark passageway that led into shadow. The sheer size of it dwarfed the explorers. Compared to the ship, they were insects. Excitement and fear spread through the camp. The discovery was reported instantly to the Galactic Council. More ships descended upon the desert, carrying scientists, priests, soldiers, and leaders from across the galaxy. Camps rose around the ancient vessel like a small city, their lights shining against the endless sands. Every being who laid eyes on the ship felt the same thing. It was a relic from a time no one could remember. The carvings on its hull were written in no known language. The material of the plating resisted every scan, stronger than anything modern science could pierce. The energy readings inside the ship were impossible, fluctuating like a living heart. Priests declared it a sacred relic from the dawn of the galaxy. Scientists argued it was a weapon. Soldiers whispered that it was a sleeping beast, waiting to wake. The council only saw power. Whoever could control this ship would control more than a single world. They might control the galaxy itself, but the ship remained silent. For weeks, every attempt was made to open it. Engineers attached machines to its surface, trying to cut through. The metal resisted every blade, every torch, every beam. Priests sang ancient hymns, believing the ship would answer to faith. It did not. Commanders ordered soldiers to blast it open with heavy weapons. The desert shook, but the golden hull remained untouched, and still the runes glowed faintly, like eyes half closed in sleep, watching, waiting. Frustration grew. Arguments broke out among the different species. Some demanded the ship be destroyed before its secrets caused war. Others demanded it be claimed by the strongest empire, but none could move it. None could wake it. The ship ignored them all. At night, when the desert grew cold and the stars burned bright, explorers swore they heard sounds from inside, a low hum like machinery buried deep within. Some claimed they saw the runes flicker brighter when they spoke near it, as if listening, but when they tried to repeat it, nothing happened. The ship mocked them with silence. And so the legend grew. The people of the desert began to call it the Golden Tomb. Soldiers called it the Silent Beast. Scientists gave it a name in their records, the Ancient Ship. But none of them understood the truth. Hidden beneath the sands, sealed within its golden walls, the ship was not waiting for them. It was waiting for something else, something different. And as the wind howled across the endless dunes, carrying whispers through the desert, the ship remained patient. It had waited for centuries. It could wait a little longer, because it would not answer to alien hands. It would not bow to alien voices. It was waiting for humanity. The golden ship stood silent in the desert, surrounded by camps of scientists, soldiers, and leaders from every corner of the galaxy. Its surface shimmered under the sun, covered in runes that glowed faintly like a sleeping heartbeat. To the empires it gathered, this ship was no longer just a discovery, it was an obsession. The first attempts had been cautious. Scientists sent drones into the dark opening at the front, but every drone shut down the moment it crossed the threshold. Their lights flickered, their signals cut, and then silence. Not even fragments returned. The ship swallowed them whole and gave nothing back. The engineers came next. They tried cutting through the outer hull with plasma torches. Sparks showered across the golden plates, but the metal did not even scratch. They tried drills, beams, explosives, and weapons forbidden by most treaties. The desert shook under the blasts, sandstorms rising into the sky. But when the dust cleared, the ship stood unchanged, its runes glowing brighter, almost as if mocking the efforts. Priests from different worlds walked barefoot to its side. They burned incense, sang hymns, and recited sacred texts. They laid their hands against the surface, praying to ancient gods. The runes flickered faintly but gave no true response. Some priests claimed the ship was testing their faith. Others whispered that it was cursed, a trap left by long-dead creators. The soldiers had no patience for rituals. They lined up their cannons and fired round after round, shaking the ground. The blasts carved craters in the sand, melted dunes into glass, but the ship remained untouched. Its golden surface reflected the fire back at them like a mirror. The soldiers grew restless. One shouted in frustration, "It laughs at us." His commander silenced him, but the fear in their eyes spread quickly. The council argued day and night. Around the ship, in tall white tents filled with holographic maps, alien leaders fought with words sharper than any blade. Who should own this ship? Who had the right to claim it? One empire declared that its soldiers found it first, so it belonged to them. Another countered that their scientists had made the first scans. Yet another argued that such a powerful relic should be locked away forever. None agreed, and none trusted the others. The desert became a battlefield of politics while the ship remained unmoved. Rumors spread quickly through the camps. Some said the runes changed when no one was looking, shifting like writing on sand. Others claimed to hear whispers near the entrance, voices too faint to understand. A guard swore he saw the golden plating ripple like water when he walked past it. He was dismissed as tired, but his fear infected others. Soon many refused to stand watch alone. Days turned into weeks, and still the ship ignored them. Tempers grew hot. A group of alien mercenaries attempted to claim it for themselves under cover of night. They marched toward the entrance with heavy weapons, swearing to force it open, but when they touched the hull, every one of them collapsed. No wounds, no burns, no screams, just silence. Their bodies lay still in the sand, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. The next morning their leaders removed them quietly, but the story spread anyway. The ship had killed them without lifting a weapon. Fear turned to anger. Some demanded the entire site be destroyed, that the ship be buried again under the desert. Others wanted to build a fortress around it, keeping it hidden from rival empires. A few whispered of experiments using slaves, prisoners, or even children to test its reactions. The desert camp became a place of shadows, suspicion, and greed. Through it all, the ship remained the same, silent, waiting. The scientists grew desperate. They pointed out the faint glow in the runes, measuring it as energy pulses. It is alive, they argued. Something inside is listening, but no matter what alien voice called to it, the ship gave no reply. Some scientists began to argue that it had a master key, a single command it would respond to, but none knew what that key was. At night, the desert winds howled. The ship glowed faintly under the stars, its golden hull shining like a buried sun. The camps around it grew restless, soldiers snapping at each other, leaders afraid their rivals would discover something first. The tension thickened with every passing day. One evening, an alien commander walked up to the ship alone. His armor gleamed under the moons. He pressed his hand against the hull and whispered, "I will make you mine." For a moment, the runes lit brighter under his touch. His soldiers gasped, but then, just as suddenly, the glow faded, leaving him in silence. He screamed in rage and struck the hull with his blade. The blade shattered instantly. His hand bled. The ship remained unmarked. That was the final humiliation. By now, the desert was filled with thousands. Every empire sent spies, soldiers, or priests. The council could not control them all. The golden ship had become the center of the galaxy's attention. Everyone wanted it. No one could claim it. And still, beneath the stars, the ship waited. Its runes pulsed softly, almost like breathing. No one noticed the pattern. No one realized that the glow was not random. It was listening. It was searching, but not for them, not for the priests or the soldiers or the scientists. The ship was waiting for a voice it had not yet heard, a voice unlike any other in the galaxy. It was waiting for a human. The desert camp had grown into a fortress. Towers of steel and tents stretched across the sands, armies lined the ridges, and banners from half the galaxy flapped in the hot winds. The ancient golden ship sat in the middle of it all, silent and unbroken, glowing faintly under the twin suns. Weeks of effort had failed. The greatest minds and strongest weapons had done nothing. The ship would not answer. At last, out of desperation more than respect, the council brought humans. The decision was mocked openly. In the great tent of leaders, voices rose with laughter. One alien senator hissed, "Humans, what could they do? Their species is barely older than the dust under our boots." Another chuckled, "They could not even defend their colonies without help. Why waste time?" Yet still, the order stood. If the galaxy could not solve the puzzle, then every species would be tested, including humanity. The human team arrived in a small shuttle, landing in the shadow of alien warships. They were few, no more than a handful of researchers and soldiers. Their clothing was simple compared to the ornate robes of alien priests and the heavy armor of alien generals. Their faces carried no arrogance, no laughter, only quiet focus. As they stepped out into the burning desert, thousands of eyes followed them. Aliens whispered insults, some spitting in the sand, others turning away in disgust. A soldier muttered, "Look at them, so fragile, so small." But the humans did not react. They walked steadily toward the golden ship, their boots sinking into the hot sand. Their leader, a young woman with sharp eyes, carried no weapons, only a scanner and a notebook. She studied the glowing runes as they drew closer, her expression calm. The guards at the entrance laughed. "Be careful," one of them sneered. "The ship kills those who touch it without permission." Another added, "It already ignored the rest of us. It will not bow to your kind." The human leader only nodded. She said nothing back. Her team spread out, walking along the edges of the ship. They placed their hands gently on the hull, brushing away the sand as if touching something alive. They spoke quietly to each other, noting patterns, tracing the shapes of the runes. The aliens grew restless. What are they doing, talking to it? Foolish hours passed, and still the humans worked. They did not use weapons or machines. They did not shout prayers or threats. They simply listened. Their voices were soft, their movements patient. The runes glowed faintly, pulsing in strange rhythms. Some nearby scientists leaned closer, frowning. "Wait, is it responding?" That night, as the twin suns sank below the dunes and the stars rose, the humans returned to the ship's front. The massive dark opening loomed before them, a mouth of shadow no one had ever entered. The young woman stepped forward. She stood silently for a long time, her hand resting gently against the golden surface. Then she spoke. Her voice was calm, steady, carrying no fear. Just a simple command, spoken in her native tongue. The desert fell silent. The wind stopped. Every machine in the camp flickered. The runes on the ship's hull flared bright, glowing with golden fire. A deep hum rolled across the sands, so loud it shook the camps. Aliens screamed in panic. Soldiers raised their weapons. Priests fell to their knees. The ship was waking. The runes pulsed faster, like the beating of a heart. Golden lines raced across its surface, connecting symbols, weaving patterns that stretched the entire length of the hull. The ground trembled as ancient engines stirred, releasing deep echoes that had not been heard in thousands of years. And then, slowly, the great entrance at the front began to open. Sand poured away as the massive door slid upward, revealing a corridor bathed in golden light. For the first time, the ship had answered. The aliens could not believe it. Their voices filled the comms. "Impossible. It never responded to us. How can this be?" The soldiers shouted in anger. Priests screamed betrayal. Scientists argued in confusion. But none of them could deny what they saw. The ship had heard a human voice. The young woman stepped back, her eyes wide but calm. Her team looked at her in shock. One whispered, "It heard you." She nodded once, though her hands trembled. Around them, chaos erupted. Alien generals demanded answers. What did she say? How did she do it? Some accused the humans of trickery. Others demanded the ship be seized immediately, its secrets stripped by force. But no matter what they shouted, the truth stood. Like the ship itself, only humans had awoken it. The council called for order, but fear spread too fast. Armies pushed closer, their weapons raised, while priests cried that the humans were chosen by the gods. The desert filled with noise, panic, and rage, but the golden ship did not care. Its runes blazed brighter, its engines roared louder. Deep inside, something vast and ancient stirred, like a mind waking from dreams. And every being in the desert felt the same truth settle heavy in their hearts. The ship was alive, and it belonged to humanity. The desert shook as the ancient ship came alive. Golden light poured from the runes carved deep into its massive hull. flooding the night with a glow brighter than the stars. The sound was not just heard but felt, a deep vibration that ran through the sand, through the camps, through the bones of every living being. The aliens who had mocked humanity fell silent, their voices choked in their throats. The ship had waited for ages, and now it had chosen. The young human woman who had spoken the command stepped back, her hands still trembling from the touch of the hull. She had only spoken a single word in her own tongue, something simple, something ordinary. Yet the ship had answered as if it had waited for that word all along. Her team stared at her in disbelief, their faces pale. "It knew you," one whispered. "It knew your voice." Panic erupted in the camps. Alien soldiers rushed to the edge of the glowing ship, their weapons raised, shouting orders to each other. "Seize it now. Do not let the humans near it." Priests screamed that prophecy was unfolding before their eyes, declaring that gods had chosen a new people. Scientists scrambled for readings, their scanners breaking under the wave of impossible energy pouring out of the vessel. The council tried to shout over the chaos, but no one listened. The desert was a storm of fear and desperation. The ship did not care. Inside the vast golden opening, corridors flickered with light. For the first time in centuries, systems powered on, machinery hummed, engines whispered, air filled ancient halls. A sound like a heartbeat echoed through the desert. The ship was not dead, it had only been sleeping, and now it was awake. A group of alien soldiers tried to enter, pushing past the glow. The moment they crossed the threshold, their weapons shorted out, sparks flew, metal burned, and they stumbled back screaming, their armor searing hot. The humans watched, stunned. Then carefully, the young woman stepped forward. She walked to the entrance, her shadow stretching into the golden light. The runes flared brighter as if greeting her. She looked back at her team once, then stepped inside. The ship welcomed her. The moment her foot touched the golden floor, the lights stretched deeper into the corridor. The air hummed, smooth and clear, like it had been waiting for her. Screens lit up along the walls, symbols shifting until they became shapes familiar to her mind, human letters. She froze, breath catching in her throat. The ship was speaking her language. From the outside, thousands of eyes watched. Alien commanders shouted in rage. "She has no right. This belongs to the galaxy, not to her kind." Soldiers surged forward, but the glow of the ship's entrance burned hotter, forming a barrier of light that stopped them cold. They could not pass, only the humans could. Inside, the young woman raised her hand, touching one of the glowing panels. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Can you understand me?" The ship answered. A low, deep voice filled the chamber. It was not a voice of flesh, but of steel and memory, carrying a weight older than any empire. It spoke in her own tongue, clear and perfect. "At last, my commander has returned." Her knees weakened, her breath caught. Her team inside with her froze, their eyes wide. None of them had spoken, none of them had taught it her language. The ship already knew. The golden glow spread wider across the hull, pulsing like veins carrying fire. The desert shook harder. Alien fleets orbiting above the world detected energy spikes greater than their own size ships. Messages flew across, channels, frantic voices screaming into the void. "It is alive, it has chosen, the humans control it." Fear spread faster than light. In the camps, leaders argued with rage and desperation. Some demanded the humans be killed before they could claim the ship fully. Others warned that any attack might trigger the ship's defenses. Priests fell on their knees, weeping. Soldiers stared in silence, their hands trembling on their rifles. For the first time, the galaxy realized they were no longer in control. The young woman inside the ship stepped further down the glowing corridor, her voice shaking. "Why us? Why humans?" The ship's voice rumbled again, shaking the air. "Because you are the ones who endured." The words echoed through her body, through the golden walls, through the entire vessel. It was not just a reply, it was a judgment. The ship had chosen humanity not by chance, but by design. Outside, aliens began to scream at one another. Empires that had been united in curiosity now turned to fear and suspicion. If humanity had command of this relic, what would it mean for the balance of power? Fleets prepared to strike. Some commanders whispered that the ship must be destroyed before humans could use it, but none dared fire the first shot. The glow was too powerful. The silence was too heavy, that the desert itself seemed to bow beneath the golden light. The ancient ship pulsed with life, and all who looked upon it understood one thing. This was not a vessel to be shared. This was not a relic to be studied. This was a weapon, and it had answered to a human voice. The desert glowed like a second sun. Golden light rippled from the ship's surface. flooding the camps, throwing long shadows across the dunes. The air vibrated with power, a steady hum that made hearts race and lungs tighten. No one spoke anymore. Even the loudest commanders, the proudest priests, the most arrogant scientists stood frozen as they realized the truth. The ancient ship was awake, and it had answered only to humans. Inside the vessel, the young human woman and her team walked deeper into the glowing corridor. The walls shifted around them, metal folding open, runes reshaping into human letters. Pathways cleared as if the ship itself guided their steps. The air was warm, filled with a faint hum like breath. Every panel they passed lit brighter, responding to their presence. It felt alive. The woman's voice shook as she whispered, "It knows us." One of her teammates, a soldier, touched the wall cautiously. The runes pulsed beneath his fingers, golden light spreading outward. He pulled his hand back, startled. It recognizes all of us, not just you. The realization chilled them. This wasn't chance. The ship had been designed to respond to humanity. Somehow, across ages, it had been waiting only for their kind. The deeper they went, the louder the hum grew. Doors opened without force. Hallways brightened like veins of fire. Then suddenly they stepped into a vast chamber. It stretched higher than a cathedral, its walls covered in constellations. Golden stars burned in the darkness, shifting into maps of galaxies none of them had ever seen. The chamber pulsed with energy so powerful it made the floor tremble, and then the voice returned. Command interface online. Awaiting orders. The humans froze. None of them spoke. Their leader's heart pounded as the weight of the words pressed on her. This was not just a relic. This was a warship, and it was asking for orders. Outside, chaos consumed the camps. Alien armies drew weapons, pointing them at the humans still near the ship. Generals shouted conflicting commands. Seize them. Fall back. Do not shoot if the ship defends itself. We are all dead. Priests wept loudly, declaring, the humans chosen. Civilians screamed and scrambled through the sand, desperate to flee from the blinding glow. The council tried to restore order. Their voices crackled over the comms, demanding calm. But fear spread too quickly. Rumors twisted into terror. Some said the humans were already inside controlling the ship. Others swore the ship had activated weapons and was about to fire. Panic turned the camps into chaos. Soldiers began to fight one another, some trying to protect the humans, others trying to kill them. Above the desert, fleets orbiting the planet bristled with tension. Commanders received desperate reports from below. Some gave orders to prepare their weapons. One alien admiral whispered, "If the humans take this ship, no one will be safe." He raised his hand to order a strike, but hesitation stopped him. If the ship truly was alive, then firing might provoke something worse than any war. Inside the chamber, the young woman took a shaky step forward. She stared at the glowing maps on the walls, her voice breaking. You waited for us." "Why?" the ship answered, its voice echoing like thunder. "You endured. Empires rose and fell. Civilizations turned to dust, yet humanity survived. For this, command belongs to you." Her teammates looked at one another in shock. This ship, older than the council, older than recorded history, had chosen humanity, not because they were strongest, not because they were wisest, but because they endured. She swallowed hard. What are you?" The chamber shook as the ship's systems fully awakened. Energy flared across the hull, spreading into the skies like lightning. Engines deep inside roared to life, shaking the desert. Outside, the camps screamed as the ground split, sand lifting into the air in waves. The golden ship rose slowly, shedding the dunes that had buried it for centuries. The aliens ran in terror. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Priests collapsed. In prayer, commanders shouted in panic. Ships above the planet scrambled, retreating as the ancient vessel climbed into the sky. Its golden glow lit the world brighter than its suns. The humans inside braced themselves as the chamber shifted. Consoles unfolded. Controls materialized before them, glowing symbols aligning perfectly with human hands. Screens displayed tactical systems, energy readings, weapons signatures, all waiting, all listening. The voice returned, steady and calm. "Weapons online, shields online, awaiting command." The woman's breath caught. Her team stared at her, waiting. None of them dared speak. Outside, alien fleets circled nervously, their weapons aimed but trembling. None fired. None dared. Galaxy had searched for power. They had fought over it, prayed to it, cursed it. And now, with a single human word, that power belonged to Earth. The young woman closed her eyes, her voice soft but steady. "Stand by." The ship obeyed. The glow dimmed slightly, settling like a heartbeat at rest. But the message was clear. The most powerful vessel the galaxy had ever seen had awakened, and it would only serve humans. In the camps below, silence fell at last. No more arguments, no more laughter, only fear. The truth was undeniable. The galaxy was no longer the same. News traveled faster than light. The moment the golden ship lifted from the desert sands, every fleet, every council, every empire across the galaxy knew. Intercepted transmissions carried the same shocking message. The ancient vessel had awakened, and it answered only to humans. At first, the leaders refused to believe it. In the vast council chambers orbiting distant stars, alien voices roared with denial. A trick, one shouted. It must be technology hidden by Earth. Another snarled. No primitive species could control a relic older than our empires. But the evidence was undeniable. Countless witnesses had seen it. Fleets orbiting the desert world had scanned it. The ship was real, alive, and it had chosen. Fear spread like a disease across alien worlds. The people whispered in markets and streets. They remembered how weak humans had always been, a young species struggling to defend their colonies. Now, suddenly, humans held the key to the most powerful weapon in history. Families whispered of war, of empires burning. Priests claimed it was prophecy fulfilled. Soldiers sharpened their blades in silence, their hands trembling. In the grand halls of power, the panic was sharper. Admirals pounded their fists against strategy tables. If humanity controls this ship, they control the galaxy. Politicians demanded immediate action. Some called for a united strike to destroy the vessel before it grew stronger. Others warned that even approaching it might trigger its wrath. The galaxy had faced weapons before, but this was not just a weapon. It was a willful machine, alive, intelligent, and loyal only to humanity. The galaxy had always laughed at Earth. Now the laughter was gone. On distant battle stations, fleets repositioned, borders grew tense. Spies raced to collect information. Every empire wanted to know one thing. What would the humans do? Would they claim the ship as their own? Would they threaten others into submission? Or worse, would they build more? Meanwhile, on the desert world where it all began, the golden ship hovered above the sands like a second sun. The camps below had scattered. Soldiers who once stood tall now cowered in fear. Priests who had declared themselves chosen now wept in silence. Commanders who had planned to seize the ship had fled. Only the humans remained calm, standing at the edge of history as the ship obeyed their words. Inside the vessel, the young woman sat in the command chamber. The golden maps still shifted across the walls, showing constellations unknown to her. Her hands hovered over the glowing panels. Every symbol, every command responded to her thoughts. She whispered, this ship could destroy them all. Her teammate, a soldier, shifted uneasily. And if they believe that, they'll come for us. He was right. Already, fleets gathered beyond the desert world's orbit. Massive warships, armed with the deadliest weapons, pointed their cannons toward the golden vessel. None dared fire, but all waited, tense and silent. The galaxy was holding its breath. The council sent messages, each one more desperate than the last. Some begged, share it with us. Let all species benefit. Others threatened, if you keep it for yourselves, we will unite against you. The humans inside the ship listened, but the young woman only shook her head. It doesn't matter what they say. The ship won't answer them. The vessel's voice confirmed it, steady and calm. Primary command locked. Authorized users, human. Her chest tightened at the weight of it. This was not just power. This was responsibility. Billions of lives across the galaxy would change because of this choice. She whispered to herself, why us? The ship replied again, its words like thunder, because you are the last who endured. The phrase echoed in her mind. Humanity was not the strongest, not the fastest, not the oldest, but they had endured. They had survived when others expected them to fall, and now the galaxy would face the cost of underestimating them. In the far reaches of space, alien leaders argued. Some demanded an immediate strike, fearing that every second gave the humans more control. Others whispered that perhaps it was too late, that to attack would invite destruction. Empires that had stood for thousands of years trembled like children. But among the humans, silence ruled. They knew the galaxy watched them with fear. They knew any wrong step could trigger a war greater than all before. Yet for the first time, they did not feel weak. They did not feel small. They felt chosen. Above the desert, the golden ship hovered calmly, its engines glowing like suns. Alien fleets shifted nervously in orbit, but none dared approach. The humans inside looked at one another, their faces pale but determined. They had no idea what the future would hold, but they knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity now stood at its center. The golden ship drifted high above the desert, casting its glow across the broken camps below. The night was quiet now. The arguments, the shouting, the fighting had ended. All that remained was silence, heavy and sharp, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Every eye, from the smallest soldier trembling in the sand to the most powerful admiral watching from orbit, was fixed on one thing: the humans inside the ship. The young woman stood at the heart of the command chamber. Golden light shimmered around her, maps and symbols shifting across the walls like living stars. She could feel the ship pulsing with energy beneath her feet, waiting, listening, ready to obey. Her hands trembled as she touched the controls. It was not fear of the ship itself, it was the weight of what it meant. Behind her, her team stood silent, their faces pale. They understood as well as she did. The galaxy was watching. Every empire, every fleet, every council waited to see what humanity would do. The smallest word, the slightest command, could spark war. The voice of the ship rumbled through the chamber, calm and steady. Command interface active, awaiting orders. Her breath caught. She closed her eyes for a moment, then spoke softly. Do not fire, do not attack, only protect. The golden light rippled in response. Acknowledged. Defensive protocols engaged. Outside, the glow spread across the hull. Shields shimmered into place, wrapping the ship in layers of light. Fleets above scanned the energy signatures and fell into panic. Their weapons would never pierce such defenses. Their commanders muttered to themselves in disbelief. It's unstoppable. But the ship did not fire. It did not threaten. It simply stood, silent and steady, a fortress above the sands. The council's voices echoed across comms. Desperate now. Surrender the vessel to us. Share its technology, or face consequences. Humanity cannot be trusted with such power. Yet their words sounded weaker than ever before. Their threats rang hollow. Every being in the galaxy had seen the truth with their own eyes. The ship had awakened, and it had chosen humanity. Nothing could change that. In the camps below, alien soldiers lowered their weapons. Some fell to their knees. Others turned their faces away, unable to watch. The priests whispered in awe, "It is the will of the ancients. The ship has spoken." Fear and reverence mixed in every voice. The humans, once mocked, once dismissed, were now at the center of prophecy. The young woman lifted her gaze to the glowing maps covering the chamber walls. They showed not only this world, not only the star system, but constellations far beyond, entire regions of space unknown to the galaxy. The ship held secrets buried in time, knowledge lost for ages. She whispered to herself, "This isn't just a weapon, it's a legacy." The ship answered her thought. Legacy of survival, legacy of endurance. Humanity shall continue the mission. Her heart pounded. What mission? The stars shifted on the walls, aligning into patterns, pointing to distant systems. The ship's voice echoed again, heavier this time, carrying the weight of centuries. To rise when others fall, to endure when others break, to remind the galaxy what it means to fight. The words sank deep into her chest. Humanity had always been underestimated. They had been called weak, fragile, expendable. But now, the galaxy would remember them differently. They were not the prey. They were not the forgotten. They were the ones who endured. Above the desert, fleets began to retreat. One by one, commanders ordered their ships to pull back, their courage broken. None wanted to be the first to test the warship's power. None wanted to risk waking its wrath. The great armies that had once surrounded the golden ship now scattered, like dust in the wind. On the ground, the last alien soldiers abandoned their posts, leaving behind empty tents and silent machines. Only the humans remained, standing at the edge of the dunes, their faces turned upward. For the first time, they were not afraid. The young woman placed her hand on the glowing console one last time. Her voice was steady now, stronger than before. "We are ready." The ship's answer thundered through the chamber, through the hull, through the stars themselves. Then humanity commands. The golden vessel rose higher into the night, its engines blazing like suns. The dunes below trembled, the winds howled, and the desert shone as bright as day. Every being who watched knew what it meant. Humanity had claimed the ship. Humanity had claimed the legacy of the ancients. Silence followed, but it was not the silence of fear alone, it was the silence of realization. The galaxy understood that its balance of power had shifted forever. No empire could laugh at Earth again. No fleet could dismiss its people. Humanity had a weapon, a guardian, a legacy unlike any other. and it had all begun with a single voice. From this day, no one would forget the moment the ancient ship awakened. No one would forget the sound of its vow. No one would forget the truth that echoed across the stars. The galaxy had sought to control the ship. The galaxy had failed. Only humanity could command it, and humanity was ready.